Welcome in. It's almost time.
All right, everybody, welcome in. It's Monday night here on A2D Radio. We are the Sports Hounds. Brad Ryer, Rob Brinkman with you. Remember to hit that damn like, hit the subscribe button, turn those notifications on. Don't miss anything. Got a lot of new exciting stuff happening here at A2D Radio. Tommy Arnone and Mitch Williams, the Wild Thing. They're going to be on every Monday at 1. Talking baseball, we got Irving Fryer and Hollis Thomas with Vetted on Friday afternoons. 2 pros talking ball. Really good, really exciting new show. And, of course, we have our friend Marcus, Pro Fan Talk, every Thursday night, along with all the other exclusive content you get here, A2D Radio. We're for the fan. We're by the fan. We mean business. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Miss anything, download us wherever you get your podcast, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and iTunes. Each and every Monday, we are brought to you by Philly Sports Trips, the Philly 5 for 5 sports travel company, premium travel, tailgating experience for the passionate fans of Philly sports. Passionate sports fans of Philadelphia, go to phillysportstrips.com. Our man Vince over there does a terrific job. Got some Eagles trips lined up, some bus trips, some Kansas City trip, a Seattle trip. Schedule comes out Thursday. We're going to get Brad's thoughts on the draft as he was PTO, paid time off last week, watching his Rangers. Probably would have rather been watching here, hanging out with me and John Coyle pregame in the Sixers.
Yeah, I think so. as it turned out, but you can't miss Game 7. What kind of a loyal fan misses Game 7?
We're also brought to you by Baguio's Bread, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, home of the best stuffed tomato breads, tomato pies, sandwiches, cutlets, meatballs. Mention A2D Radio for your 10% off your in-store purchases. Topics of the night, we'll be talking some Sixers, Game 5, James Harden, Mr. Jekyll. What is it, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde? Is that how it goes?
Mm-hmm.
You know? We got good James Harden Game 1, the Sixers won. We got no-show James Harden Games 2 and Games 3. Sixers lose. Yesterday at the Wells Fargo Center, James Harden comes up. Probably the most clutch moment of his career, at least from a playoff perspective, hitting that game-winning corner 3. Marcus Smart, too little, too late there at the buzzer. Seems to be a theme with this team, blowing leads, but I guess everyone blows leads in the NBA. You know, you're playing a good team, so, I mean, I'm not going to crush him for that. Our topics tonight brought to you by Creative Window Design, serving New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Florida. We are a fully authorized Hunter Douglas dealer. Jeff, 609-226-0391 for a free consultation. Also, can't forget our man, Dr. Paul Vidal, specialized physical therapy, 2 convenient locations in Burlington and Cherry Hill. He's our doc. Make him yours too. Brad, I'm interested. We haven't talked on air in a while. We've texted, obviously, but Sixers Celtics 2-2. Game 5, pivotal Game 5 tomorrow. We're going to get into your Knicks and Ralphie Delavecchio. He'll be on with Ryan Brodo later tonight, live reacting to his Lakers taking on the Golden State Warriors. Lakers up 2-1 in that series. So we got a big NBA show. We got a big NHL show. We got an MLB segment. And, of course, we'll get Brad's thoughts on the NFL draft. But our poll question of the night, pretty simple, y'all. Pretty simple, y'all. The Sixers will win Game 5 in Boston. Agree or disagree? Brad, I'll let you start it off.
No shot.
No shot?
No shot.
Early line is Sixers are 7.5-point underdogs, which has been the theme.
That's that's not as bad as when there was 10 though the other day.
Well, game 1 was 10.
Yeah, Game 2 was 10 too. Also, wasn't it?
I thought that dipped. I think it was more like 7 in Game 2 because they won.
Was it? Okay.
I could be wrong though.
What it was? I thought I saw a negative 10, and I know I made a comment on Facebook. I made a comment that this is a very fishy line. I cannot understand why the Sixers would be getting 10 points. But if they're really getting 10 points, I'd be betting Boston because, you know, that anytime you get a stupid line like that, you know the other team's going to cover it. You know, they're just begging.
Line is telling.
Yeah, the line. Yeah, when it's the lines like that, what they're trying to entice you to take the Sixers. which means Boston's probably going to kill them. Now, I think Boston is going to win the series. I think they win the next 2 games. What I saw from Philly yesterday, in spite of Harden's heroics, they're very fortunate they got that win. I mean, I know that they played good defense at the end, but I got to tell you, that coach on Boston, he's got rocks in his head.
He's not good.
He's not good is a compliment about this guy. What the hell is he doing? Why wouldn't he call a timeout at the end of before the end of regulation? I mean, they end up taking a 3-point shot. I mean, how stupid is that? You don't need a 3-point shot. You didn't need a 3-point shot to win the game. Why don't you just call timeout and clear everything out for what's his name for Tatum, or Brown? I mean, it didn't make sense. The Sixers couldn't have stopped Brown, or excuse me, not Brown. They couldn't have stopped Tatum yesterday unless they had a rope and crazy glue. He would have gotten his shots whenever he wanted to, and why not put Brogdon back in at the end of the game? If you want to take a 3-point shot, none of it made sense. And then in the overtime, you get the same situation. You're down by 2, you have a chance to win the game. And again, they don't call timeout, and then they're all disorganized, and then they get the shot off maybe a 10th of a second too late. It went in, which tells me, if the game was a 10th of a second longer, Boston would have won. But I just think that Boston knows they could beat Philly. I'm not sure Philly feels that they can beat them in a 7-game series. I just don't think they can. Embiid, for me, looks like Embiid looks like he's got no lift on his game. I mean, he's just such a great player. He can still be a dominant player, but he doesn't have any lift to his shots. I mean, they were blocking his shots almost every time he got the ball, and that kind of tells me that he doesn't have the strength and the lift in his legs to get himself up strong enough to get these shots off. And I think that's a problem.
I think Doc Rivers, to your point about Joe Mazzulla and the coaching matchup, I think Doc Rivers deserves a load of credit for this series being 2-2.
He's totally outcoached that Mazzulla. Mazzulla, I don't understand what he's thinking. And to me, it's almost like he's being gutless by not calling timeout because he's afraid to make a play. He's afraid to call a play.
Yeah, and he said time and time again, I like to save my timeouts. I like to save 2. I like to have at least 2 in the bag in case something happens. What do you save them for?
17 seconds to go in the game, and you have the ball, and you're going to make sure that you run the clock all the way down. What the hell? What the hell? I mean, you shoot with about 3 seconds to go. That way there's time for a rebound in case you miss. I mean, why wouldn't you call timeout and try to set up a play and make sure that you get a guy who's taking the shot you want to? I mean, nothing against Smart, but wouldn't you rather have Tatum or Brogdon or Brown taking that shot instead of Smart at the end of the game? A 3-pointer?
Me, yeah.
Why are you taking a 3-pointer in a tie game?
I mean, go back to game 1. I believe the Celtics were winning that game at halftime, and Doc went into halftime, made some great adjustments, totally made a defensive game plan for Jason Tatum. I think Jason Tatum had 28 in the first half in game 1. He only had 9 in the second half. So Doc ran circles around him in game 1. Game 2, they came out. The Sixers just got boat raced. They didn't hit any shots. Embiid wasn't healthy. The whole thing, anyone with a brain knew that the Celtics were probably going to win that game by a wide margin. You come out in game 3,
they pissed that game away.
Hard fought game, but I don't blame Doc for the loss. I blame James Harden going 2 for whatever from the field, just playing an awful game. And then yesterday, Doc Rivers outcoached Joe Mazzulla.
Yeah, James Harden was terrific yesterday.
Gotta have good.
Yeah, that's as much as you guys have criticized him in the past, that's the way he played when he was with Brooklyn. To be honest with you, Rob, he was playing like that the entire time he was with them. And unfortunately, they had the two sissy boys on the team with him, and he wanted out. Who could blame him? But now that he's on a normal team with good solid players and good solid citizens, look at him now. I think the best thing to happen for Harden is that he doesn't have to necessarily be the man, but he can. But if he can come in and try to take over the game, he can still do it. And it seems like Embiid doesn't have a problem with sharing the ball with him. So that's that's going to be critical because you know what, as good as Embiid is, and he hasn't played badly in this series. He just hasn't been dominant like he should be. I mean, Horford was kind of knocking him around yesterday, and you know it's because of his leg. I mean, there's no way it can't be because of his leg. That's my opinion at least. You know, and he's not getting the lift when he wants to try to dunk the ball. You know, he's being stuffed. That isn't what happens with Joel Embiid when he's completely healthy. You don't even want to get in his way when he's ready to dunk the ball. You know, and right now they're stuffing him because he doesn't have the power lift anymore.
But yeah, I mean, everything shifted from the regular season to Harden. Harden had a backseat to Embiid the entire regular season. Joel Embiid was terrific. He was the MVP of the league, and now Joe can't be the MVP of the playoffs because of his leg and because of his health. He's not at his best when this team needs him. I don't think he's capable of taking over the basketball game like we know Joel Embiid can. That means James Harden.
But he can still be the second dog, Rob.
He can be the second dog, but James Harden has to be the top dog. He has to command the offense. He needs to hit shots. He needs to be aggressive, which he wasn't, at least in game 3. He was very, very, very passive trying to get his teammates involved, and it was at the detriment of the team. So if James Harden played good in game 3, we could very easily be talking about a closeout game tomorrow for the Philadelphia 76ers in Boston. Easily.
Yeah, and also you were 1/10 of a second away from be talking the other way, that you could be talking about a closeout game for Boston tomorrow.
But we're not. And that was such a terrible set at the end of the game. Like, they got into their offense way too late. I think it was Tatum who tried to drive the basket. It was shut down, and then they kicked it out to Smart, and there just wasn't enough time for him to get a shot off. I mean, Marcus Smart's a lot of things in this league, but catch and shoot, quick release, 3-point shooter, that's not
his
him.
Game. That's not his game, and they have 3 guys that can hit threes. I mean, the whole thing to me. I was shocked at how poorly coached Boston was yesterday in that game, and in both the overtime and in regulation at the end, not calling timeouts and really not. I mean, okay, it was an open look, but that's not the guy you want shooting. You know, it's like it would be like the Knicks with some of the guys they have. It would be like Grimes taking a 3-pointer at the end of the game to try to win a game when you've got either Randall or Brunson. You know, it really was ridiculous. It was one of the worst coaching jobs I've seen in a long time. And I think Brad Stevens, he should be really texting this guy and telling him what the hell to do, because it's got to be, if you're a Boston fan, you got to be sitting there just shaking your head, because this series should have been over tomorrow, and it's not. And they've kept the Sixers in the game. I just think that the Sixers were fortunate, but I think their luck runs out tomorrow night in Boston, and they better be able to not. They better not be blowing leads in a game 6, because one thing about Boston you can see is they can smell the blood in the water, and you don't want them to get that feeling, because they're one thing they are a terrific defensive team.
And they're deep.
The way they switch off. Yeah, they really are. I mean, they're good defensively, really good. You know, and they've got guys who can shoot the 3. I mean, you know, they play pretty basketball, which I didn't realize that they played like that. Philly, one thing Philly does have, though, and when James Harden is playing the way he did yesterday and he's on top of his game, they don't have an answer for him. You know,
very few do.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. I mean, he's still quick as hell, and I thought maybe he may have lost a step, but he didn't. He's still quick as hell, and if he has an open shot, you know, when he's on top of his game, he's going to make those shots. You know, you have to have a guy in his face at all times, and even if you have a guy in his face, he can still hit those shots. Kind of like just what Miami just did just now. I don't know who took that 3, but the Knicks had a hand in the guy's face, and he still made it.
Yeah, good offense is always going to be good defense.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, good defense can keep you so close. Oh, now this is terrible. How do you let a guy dunk. A guy like Jimmy Butler basket hang like that and get a dunk after you hit a three. That's just not paying attention.
Well, Jimmy's back, and I think the glaring thing when I watch this Knicks and Heat series is that the Knicks are just a perimeter guy short as far as roster construction and team.
I agree. Although that was a nice pass by Brunson to Robinson for the dunk. The Knicks have come a long way in the last couple of years. They really have. They're right on the precipice of being an elite team. They're not quite there. They're not quite there yet. They're not a championship level team yet, or an elite team yet. But they're in the very good category right now. I think they're one player away from getting to that point. I don't know. I've heard a lot of stories about how Giannis now wants to get out of Milwaukee, which I don't know how that's going to happen. But what would it take? What would it take? Would he want to play in New York? Blah 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 blah. That's the kind of guy that could put the Knicks into serious championship contention. That's what they need.
Yeah, the Bucks are in total tailspin. The owners sold their team. They fired their coach. I don't understand how that guy gets fired. I get it.
Yeah, but he just won a championship.
Bad look losing to the 8 seed in 5 games. I mean, they got absolute boat race and they couldn't stop Jimmy Butler. I get it, but fire the guy that has you in position like that every year.
And they did win a championship. It's not like they didn't win a championship.
But I mean, I guess that's what happens in the NBA. You get a short leash in the NBA. It is a players' league, but yeah, I mean.
But were they not listening to him, you think? Or I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like the NHL, Rob, where they, if the voice in the room is not being listened to and the players do their own thing, then it becomes a big problem.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's I don't know. I don't get what the Bucks are doing.
I mean, of the last 4 coaches to win a championship, the only one that has a job still is Steve Kerr. Nick Nurse is out, Budenholzer's out, and Frank Vogel, who won with the Lakers in the bubble, he didn't have a job anymore either. They got Darvin Ham, and they're looking to do some damage tonight against the Warriors, go up 3-1 at the Staples Center. Again, be sure to look out for Ralphie and I guess Ryan Brodo. They'll be on doing some live reactions for that game. Ralphie, our resident diehard Los Angeles Lakers fan. Let's get to some comments here. Comments tonight brought to you by our A2D membership program. It's only $9.99. Appearance on shows, members only streams, shout outs, and weekly sports picks from the Money Pot Podcast and Willie Vegas. I did see that Willie Vegas is on the Chicago White Sox tonight with Dylan Cease on the mound. That game's in Kansas City.
Dylan Cease has been nothing short of awful this year.
I know you just traded him in fantasy.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't believe that the guy I traded with wanted him. I was
traded with the all-campus aces, Mr. John Coyle, down there on the Ocean City Boardwalk.
I would have driven, if this was real, I would have driven him to the airport to get rid of him. He was that bad.
Speaking of Brian Wilson, he's alive and well in the chat. He disagrees. He sees Boston winning game 5, but Sixers win game 6. Hopefully get a game 7. Game 7 will be on Sunday. Time to be determined and see what happens. Anything can happen in a game 7. Anything can happen in a game 7. And
absolutely,
whether they win or lose tonight, the Wells Fargo Center down there in South Philly is going to be rocking on, I believe, Thursday night will be game 6.
Well, they're in Boston for – no, they're in Philly in game 6. That's right.
Philly game 6 and then back up to Boston for game 7.
Right.
Hopefully, I don't know, maybe we won't need it. Sixers might win. Boston might win in 6.
Anything can happen. I just don't think. I don't think Boston's going to lose Game 5, and that in itself is going to put the Sixers in a very uncomfortable situation. And it's not like they've been able to show resiliency when their backs have been in the wall in the second round of the playoffs. And that would be what would scare me as a fan. I think the Celtics, if the Sixers are going to win this series, I think they need to win Game 5. I don't think there's any way they can win a Game 7 in Boston. I just don't. It's my opinion, but it's very tough in the NBA to win Game 7s on the road. That just doesn't happen all that often.
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but whether it's baseball or hockey or whatever sport it is, basketball in this
case.
Hockey
not as much as basketball. We've seen in hockey before that it seems to happen a little bit more often, but basketball, it's very hard to win a Game 7.
Playoff hockey is chaos.
Yeah, and it's really proven to be this year. Crazy.
You have the Devils get off the mat yesterday. They put an 8 spot on Carolina.
Yep.
The Kraken are scoring at will. It's at 2-1. They're up 2-1.
Yep. And you know what's funny? The Kraken are really not a very talented hockey team, but they work harder than any other team in the league. And you know what? From the first line to the fourth line, they were all grinders, and they outwork everybody. And it shows. It really shows. And unless you're willing to match their compete level, especially in the playoffs, you're not going to beat them. And Dallas really, I think Dallas took them a little too lightly, especially in Game 1. And now they're in a big situation right now. Now, I don't think if the Kraken did win, which I don't think they will, but if they did win and they had to play Edmonton, I think they'd get demolished. But that's for next week to worry about.
And the Oilers, just Connor McDavid is just must-see TV.
And
so good.
How about Draisaitl? Draisaitl is scoring goals at it. Unbelievable. He's unbelievable. He's got so many playoff goals.
And I got the Evander Kane's on that line too.
Yeah, Evander Kane is good, and they are loaded with talent. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is a very good player too. They're just loaded, and they're getting good enough goaltending right now to make them extremely dangerous. So we'll see about them. But as far as the West is concerned, they put a beating on Vegas the other night. So I would be really checking out the Oilers right now.
Yeah, I bet on them Saturday after they lost Game 1.
Why? The cup. Then you got it. Yeah, you got a better. You probably got a better.
I think it was like 5.5 to 1. I think.
That's
I got. Well, good. I need some skin in the game because your Rangers are not participating anymore.
Well, I got my wish. Gallant is gone, so we'll see who they bring in. Personally, I'd like to see them bring in Sutter. Because Sutter will do one thing that Gallant did not do, and that is stick his foot right squarely up their asses. Now, I know with the Flames, the message got worn out in the second season, but they also were substantially less of a team this year than they were last year. So, that may have had something to do with it as well. But I think that they need Sutter. Because Sutter won't stand for this crap where they come out. Honestly, Rob, the Rangers, you want to know why they didn't have home ice advantage? I'm going to give you 5 games, okay? They lost to the Anaheim Ducks, completely inexcusable. They lost at home. They lost on the road to Anaheim, which was Anaheim's first win of the season at home this year. They lost at home to the Blue Jackets, Montreal, San Jose, and the Blackhawks, okay? Those 5 games, there is no reason why they shouldn't have been 5-0 in those 5 games. You can understand them losing games to top teams, okay? It's hockey. You're going to lose games, but how the hell do you lose to those 5 teams? And that's why the Devils had home ice advantage, and that's why they had Game 7 in New Jersey instead of Madison Square Garden, and that's why the Rangers lost. You know what? They deserved it.
Back to the Sixers, Marshawn Lynch 33, checking us out on YouTube. We got 16 people in the chat right now, so tell your friends, tune in. Let's get that up to 50 before the night's over. I honestly don't know how they survived that game. It was definitely a nail-biter. Now, I was at the Phillies game yesterday, the Sunday season plan. The Phillies finally got a win over the Boston Red Sox. They looked well. Kyle Schwarber hit the ball well, so I heard most of the game on the radio. Then I was able to get home for the second half of the fourth quarter and overtime. And boy, Tom McGinnis, he's the Sixers play-by-play guy on the radio. He does a terrific job, does the game solo, which I don't know how many people can do that. It's very hard. It's very hard to do a show just like this, like Marcus does every Thursday night by yourself. Very difficult. He calls a whole NBA game by himself, and he's been doing it for years. Very talented. He did a great job painting a picture while I sat in traffic leaving the sports complex. And yeah, the whole time it was 16, then it was 12, then it was 7, then it was 5, then Celtics were winning, then it was in overtime. And then Marcus Smart missed that shot, and that was that.
We got
Series
2-2.
tied 2-2. Series tied 2-2.
That was a hell of a game yesterday. One hell of a game.
I don't know how. I thought the Celtics would just blow right through the Sixers after the Embiid injury. But Embiid is back, and
James Harden has stepped up and played the way everybody expected him to play. And he's doing it. He's doing it in the playoffs. He's not that. Now we'll see what happens. I mean, obviously, this is only we're only into Game 5. Nobody's facing elimination yet, but this is a good sign if he can continue to play the way he's playing. Then and Embiid can be the second fiddle, so to speak. It doesn't, and nobody's going to care. And I don't think Embiid's going to care. I think Embiid just wants to win a championship. He got his MVP trophy. They want to win a championship. Harden's got to be the one to lead him there. Embiid is not 100%. And if he's not 100%, even a 75%, Joel Embiid is still one of the best players in the game. But he's not the best player in the game when he's not 100%. James Harden, when he's on top of his game, he's kind of like Stephon. What's his name?
Steph Curry.
Curry, yeah. I mean, he's a lot like him when he's on fire like that. Nobody can stop him. He's fast enough to get by the big guys, and he shoots over the little guys. So, and boy, when he's on top of his game and he's hitting his shots, it's fun to watch. And he's definitely he is deadly in the corner. Boy, he's got that corner 3 down perfectly.
Thurman 23 on YouTube. He agrees with the poll. I just don't want us playing catch up like yesterday. Thurman, I mean, they were winning the whole time. I mean, they were up double digits mostly the whole game. They played really, really well, and Boston made a run, and the Sixers were able to withstand it and get the W in overtime.
Exactly.
Tom Hedrick Embiid is overrated. Like, no, he's not.
No, he's not. He's not overrated. He's
properly rated as the best player in the NBA. He is diminished. He's playing on one leg, and he's still getting 30 a night. So I don't know what's overrated about that. I mean, he had first game back in Game 2, I guess it was. He had 5 blocks in the first half.
Exactly. He didn't score. He doesn't have the lift power that he had when when he was fully healthy. And that's the problem. And he's not quite as quick as he was when he was healthy. But if he's got Harden to help him out, and he doesn't have to do the whole thing by himself, hey, use your assets. There's no reason why he can't.
Paulie Walnuts, if Embiid is the MVP and Harden is hitting shots, we can win. I can't have a no-show from James Harden in games 5, 6, or if we get to Game 7. We can't have a no-show like Game 4. So if James Harden shows up and does his thing, the Sixers have a great chance to win the basketball game because Embiid is still going to get his, even though he's diminished. And if the Sixers lose and James Harden is cooking like that, I'll be mad and disappointed as a fan, but it's just kind of like, okay, you lost. Not really much you can do.
Exactly. I mean, if Harden's gonna play his heart out and score a lot of points, and Embiid is doing the best he can, I mean, look, the Sixers are fundamentally they're an excellent team, but they are flawed as far as defending the 3-pointer. That's not their strength, but they're very tough to beat inside. They have all those trees, and it makes it very tough.
Ryan Swoop, he disagrees. He has Boston winning Game 5. Yes, the Sixers won Game 4. Boston definitely has the momentum. I don't know how Boston has the momentum after they just lost in overtime in Game 4. Boston coach, who is a rookie coach, is a great coach despite losing the last game. I don't agree with that statement either. I think Joe Mazzulla has been downright awful in this series. He's the reason why they're not up 3-1. Doc Rivers, who everyone likes to dog in this city as an average, below average, stinky coach, has been running circles around Joe Mazzulla the whole series. Game 2, you got jumped on and constantly preaches to his players to be mad and angry out there. It's never not coming out of his mouth. He also makes sure they're always playing and full of energy. Boston never is.
They have
I
a
mean, you're
huge
always
bench.
on this hustle. I mean, who on the Sixers? The Sixers isn't. I get like the hustle. Be always on the floor, sprawling around, even though it makes me cringe every time he does it. James Harden, he's a little bit of a glamour guy. He's not the one to dive on the floor for loose balls. But to make up for that, he's an unbelievable scorer of the basketball and an unbelievable distributor of the basketball. Anthony Melton, Paul Reed, all these guys are hustle guys. Now, like, Boston's better and deeper in terms of the roster construction, but it's 2-2 right now. I don't have any problem with Doc's coaching. I think Joe Mazzulla has been stinky in this series, and
he really has, and that
they've been playing real hard.
Inexcusable is the word that comes out as far as yesterday not calling timeouts, both in overtime and at the end of regulation, to set up their shots. I mean, you have, when you don't call timeout, you have the wrong guy taking the shot. I mean, when you have a timeout and you set something up, they have a plan A and you can have a plan B. Okay, but when you come out haphazardly, I get it. If you call a timeout, the Sixers can set their defense. But you know what? If Boston executes properly, they're going to score 50% of the time. Okay, and neither time the Sixers scored, and neither time they got the guy who they'd want taking the last shot. So what does it tell you? Just a bad job.
Call a freaking timeout, especially when you have them in the bank. Can't take them with you. They don't roll over. This ain't T-Mobile rollover minutes.
No.
Call a timeout. Set it up. Yeah, the Sixers can set their defense, but good defense always beats good offense. And the Celtics, whether you pick Brown or Tatum to take the last shot, are extremely talented scorers.
Brogdon is an extremely good three-point shooter. I mean, it seemed like he didn't miss yesterday. That's why I don't understand having Marcus Smart taking that shot at the end of regulation. That was just, I mean, yeah, he was wide open, but he's not the guy you want taking the last shot. You want one of your stars taking the last shot.
Ryan Swoops just needs to stop fucking around, laying up baskets as if it's going to be cheap. Boston will keep blocking dunks, and because, as I said repeatedly, they're always hustling. Okay, we get it. Ryan wants the Sixers to hustle, and Boston hustles more than this. I mean, okay.
Well, they're also.
I get it. This is how Boston. This is why Boston's so good. They have Robert Williams. They have Grant Williams. They have Al Horford. They have Marcus Smart. They have guys. They have hockey lines that they can put in.
Yeah, they're deep. They're deep. That's why they can hustle, because these guys don't play as many minutes. But the bottom line is the Sixers do what they've got to do. I mean, they're very strong. They're very strong inside, and they're very tough to score against inside. So I mean, Boston has to be hitting their threes as well. If Boston doesn't hit their threes, then they fall way behind, just like they did yesterday. They got back in the game because their defense was unbelievable, and they started hitting some 3-point shots. But that doesn't mean that the Sixers aren't hustling.
Little shout out for your Knicks from John Castiglione.
John Castiglione. Yeah.
Castiglione, thank you.
Yes. Brunson is absolutely the heart and soul of the Knicks. He's been the difference in this team. They finally got a free agent that actually can play in New York. How about that?
Ryan Swoop,
and surprise, he played in Villanova, which is in Philadelphia, which is another difficult place to play. So you know what? There is something to say about that, and it seems like all of Jay Wright's guys, when they get into the NBA, seem to play very well. So, there's
Pretty
something about Jay Wright's guys that when they get into big markets, how well they play. I mean, look at Hart. He's another one.
Josh Hart. I told you Josh Hart was going to be a bit.
Yeah, I
the
didn't
most
think
unheralded free or trade deadline move, and nobody talked about it. And I looked at it. I said, I watched Josh Hart at Nova. I watched him with the Pelicans. I watched him out in Portland. He's a good, solid player. I think Nova has 7 guys left in the playoffs. Unbelievable.
Something like that. Yeah.
Unbelievable considering like they
And
don't get 5-star
Bridges
recruits.
Bridges is going, but Bridges was basically a one-man show.
Right. They had 7 made the playoffs. Some of them have been eliminated like Bridges, but DiVincenzo is out there in Golden State, and obviously you have Brunson in New York. Sadiq Bey, he's on the Hawks. I mean, he's been eliminated now, but Sadiq Bey gives the Hawks good minutes. Isn't Chris Middleton a free agent? He's up soon. I don't have the free agents, but I mean, you have Middleton and Drew Holiday, getting a little older. Obviously, you have Giannis there in Milwaukee that's still a top player. But I mean, the Bucks, they seem to, I think they put themselves across words by just inexplicably firing their coach. Because I don't think Giannis is the kind of guy that goes, hey, we can't win with this guy. And Giannis was shook.
It's also not true because they did win with that guy. So, I mean, I think a lot of it was the fact that Giannis was probably not healthy either. I mean, I'm sure that didn't help. I mean, he missed a couple of games because of his back.
Yeah, but got to make it work at this time of year. Everybody's sore. Everyone's battered. Everyone's bruised. Jimmy Butler's missed games. Embiid's missed games. Giannis missed some games. John Morant missed games. You got to get it done. You got to get it done at this time of year, and the Bucks didn't. So now they're kind of scrambling a little bit, it feels like.
Randall missed games. Brunson missed a couple of games. It is what it is.
Don 19 and Frank Vesby are joining us in the stream. Don 19 or Frank Vesby, excuse me. Where's Frank Vogel now? I don't know. He's not coaching the Lakers. Darvin Ham is, and he's doing an excellent, excellent job. The Lakers are really good. The Warriors are really good. I think the winner of that series is going to beat the brains out of the Suns or the Nuggets.
It seems like the Suns are soft. Is it me, or do they see it, or is that an accurate description?
My favorite playoff player of all time. I say that sarcastically because you see me crush Chris Paul every playoffs on these airwaves.
Well, now he's
not
hurt.
playing. Well, he's not playing anymore, and I think Cameron Payne's a better option for now. And the Suns went down 2-0. They lost both games in Denver, and then they bounced back and won their home games. So home court has held serve in that series. And look, you have Durant and Booker. I think that's too much for Denver. So I think it's going to be the Suns. And I'm a LeBron guy. I'm rooting for LeBron. Steph Curry is phenomenal also. But, I mean, I'm rooting for LeBron. I think it could be Lakers. I mean, Lakers, Warriors are going to – one of them is going to the finals. And maybe they'll play – who knows? Because I think the winner of the Boston Philadelphia series is also going to go to the finals because I think that either team is just more talented than the Knicks with respect to your fandom, Brad, or the Heat. But Jimmy could go off. Who knows?
Yeah, but
is that fair? Would you be shocked if the Knicks were in the finals? If
the Knicks got to the finals, I would be shocked because I don't think they're quite there. I already said I don't think they're an elite team yet. They're not quite there yet. They need one more star in this team, and preferably it would be a another 3-point shooter if they can find one.
Luke Mayer, does Giannis want to leave or a different coach? Pop survived so long in San Antonio because Duncan and his relationship was tight. Even then, Duncan almost went to Orlando. Superstars in the NBA, they're always almost leaving. They're always almost going. Seems like everyone's almost going to Miami because it's Miami and people like it there. It's warm and you get the tax advantages of Florida and all that nonsense. So, I mean, you can't let Giannis out. Even if he does want to go, you get to sit him down and ask him what he wants, what he needs.
Well, first of all, Miami doesn't have enough. It doesn't have any capital to give the Bucks. So if he was going to get traded, see, the reason they bring up the Knicks is because the Knicks have all those first round picks they can offer. That's why they have 8 first round picks in the next 4 years. So they've got capital, and they could probably get away with trading either Randall or RJ Barrett. If it came down to trying to get a guy like Giannis, I think they would do it. But
you just hold on. You hold on to Brunson, and you do whatever
it
takes.
Yeah. I mean, they don't have to get rid of both. They don't have to get rid of both guys, but they'd have to surely either Randall or Barrett would have to be included in the trade, plus a 20 million draft picks, and probably quickly.
You can have all that. You can have all them.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. Everybody seems to love getting first round draft picks. So,
Ryan Swoop, little hockey comment there for you, Brad. Seattle made sure to fill their roster full of speedsters and great all-around skaters with lots of energy and stamina. So I wish the Flyers were a new franchise so they can start from scratch and pick players like that. And John,
that's not necessarily true. They kind of did. They just, they're in a situation where they've got a lot of scrappers, and that's who they pick. But I mean, the Flyers in their drafts, they could pick scrappers, and go out and get a lot of sandpaper players. So that's not something that they can't do, that they can't change.
John, is piggyback on our conversation we had with Ralph, me, you, and Ralph before the draft. Gary Bettman rigged this draft for my embarrassing Flyers. You seem to think that Gary Bettman will have his hands in this draft lottery in favor of the Arizona Coyotes.
Absolutely. Anybody who thinks otherwise is only kidding themselves. Arizona is his baby. He wants Arizona to have a hockey team, okay? Arizona should be playing in Quebec City, or they should either Quebec City, Arizona should be playing in Kansas City, or they could be playing in Houston, one of those 3 cities. Atlanta, no. Atlanta has had 2 shots, okay? You don't get a 3rd shot. They don't like hockey in Atlanta, just like they don't like hockey in Arizona. I don't understand why Bettman can't face facts. Nobody cares in Arizona about the Coyotes. They love the Suns. I think that's their number one adorable team. And then after that comes the Diamondbacks, and then they have their embarrassing Cardinals who suck all the time. So but I don't think they even give it. They don't give a rat's ass about the Coyotes. Either way, even when the Coyotes were pretty good a few years ago, they still stunk. So I mean, the fans still didn't come out. So what's the point?
Bob Brickman, Joe has his best game tomorrow. Harden and Joe will pull us through. So Bob agrees with the poll. Sixers win Game 5 in Boston.
Yeah, I totally disagree. I think they're going to be up against it tomorrow. In order for them to win the series, I believe they have to win tomorrow night. If they don't win, they're not winning Game 7 in Boston. I just don't see it.
Look, Boston's going to come out hot. They're at home. The crowd's going to be rocking. They need to weather that storm at the start of the game, play good defense and hustle like Ryan Swoop wants and needs to see.
They need to hang around. They need to hang around till the 4th quarter.
They need to hang around, and Harden needs to hit shots. And someone in the chat pointed out that they're probably going to need an unsung hero to step up to win this game tomorrow night in Boston, or Game 7 in Boston. Whether that's Jaden McDaniels or DeAnthony Melton or George Niang, someone, Paul Reed maybe, some clutch rebounds. I think Jaden McDaniels should start. I think the best most cohesive.
Over who?
PJ Tucker.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I would go. I think the lineup should be obviously Harden, Maxey, Tobias, McDaniel. Put him in there as a stretch four. Bring PJ off the bench. Keep him fresh. And obviously you have Embiid in the middle. That lineup had great. I think it was game 3. That lineup had really, really, really good success. Then you mix PJ in with his hustle and his dog mentality. And then I think that's how you can maybe throw a little wrinkle at stinky Joe Mazzulla and the Boston Celtics from Doc Rivers' perspective.
Rob, do you think that Brad Stevens is going to have a little talk with Joe Mazzulla about calling timeouts at the end of the game?
No, because we've seen like upstairs shouldn't meddle in day-to-day operations of the basketball team. If Brad Stevens doesn't like the way the game's being coached, then Brad Stevens should come off his perch and coach the games himself. Obviously, you had the scandal situation with Ime Udoka, who was their coach, handpicked by Brad Stevens to take over. He's going to be the coach of the Houston Rockets now. So you have Joe Mazzulla, which I think Joe Mazzulla has already been extended. So Brad Stevens likes him enough to extend him and hitch his wagon to that star. You know, just maybe go out to lunch with him and give him a little nudge in the right direction.
Well, yeah,
maybe.
that too. I mean, what I'm saying is, do you think he's going to get into his ear a little bit and explain to him that maybe this is something he might consider doing? Because I think he really needs to start doing that.
It could hurt. I think Joe Mazzulla's been downright awful in this series. If Doc Rivers is coaching circles around you, then you need to look in the mirror and figure out something else.
Or maybe Doc isn't so bad.
Doc isn't so bad. Doc just is Doc.
Look, Doc is not Red Auerbach. Okay, we get it. Okay, but Doc is he's not a bad coach. He's certainly not a bad coach. That's for sure. But I know he hasn't been quite as good as everybody would like to see him be. But he hasn't been bad. He is right now a better coach than Boston's coach, and he's out coaching them. I don't think there's any question about that.
Yeah, Joe Mazzulla just has better players, better roster.
Yeah, but he's not doing a very good job right now.
Ryan Swoop. So many of the Sixers players, besides Embiid, either show up or don't show up so far as scoring points. Anthony Melton does it a lot, but he will always bring his A game defensively. I mean, Ryan, D'Anthony Melton, he's one of your hustle guys that you like so much. He's great. He's a great addition by Daryl Morey. It pains me to give Daryl Morey credit for anything because I don't think he's that great of a GM, but D'Anthony Melton was a good, solid acquisition in the offseason. He's the perfect sixth man. The NHL draft lottery is actually minutes away, according to Ryan Swoop. I didn't realize that was going on tonight.
The NHL draft lottery? Oh, yeah, I forgot. That's right. It is.
Correct. So we will have clarification on where Connor Bedard will be playing hockey next season, probably by the end of the show.
And I think the Knicks,
Oilers game.
Speaking of timeouts, I think the Knicks need a timeout. They just fallen 10 points behind with 3 minutes and 13 seconds to go in the second quarter. Suddenly, the three balls not going in.
Cromer's in the house. Michael Wesley Chromiak. You can catch him all over A2D airwaves. He's in Florida. He's in Pennsylvania. He's on the boardwalk with John Coyle doing the rant booth. He's on A2D Wednesday nights, and he's on In This Very Ring from time to time with Andy Ritter talking wrestling. Yeah, I watched a lot of wrestling when I had my time off with my knee. I had a knee injury. Watched a lot of wrestling leading up to WrestleMania. I enjoyed it. I love a good wrestling match.
Yeah, wrestling's fun.
It's fun. It's what it is.
Yeah. If you can just not think about the whole, the fact that everything's scripted and just enjoy it for what it is. It is a lot of fun. I know I've always enjoyed watching it.
I never really. If you don't like it, you don't like it, and that's fine. It's like golf.
Right. Yeah, but if you like it,
you don't
it's
like golf.
fun to
You don't
watch.
like golf. That's fine. But you turn on whatever BS show you're streaming, like that's scripted. That's not real per se.
Oh,
So,
but it's fun. But it wrestling is fun to watch. It always has been fun to watch.
And they just had their WWE draft, so everyone's on new shows. So make sure you tune into in this very ring and check it out. Get the inside scoop.
Oh,
Also,
that's right. They just did that again. Yeah, they do that every few years to mix it up because the guys have all wrestled each other and they need new storylines and new rivalries.
Back to the Sixers, though. Chrome agrees to the poll. I feel like Joe is due for a big game, and this past game may have opened the floor to keep them rolling. I mean, if James Harden's good, like James Harden has to be the alpha dog. Joe's second now because of his legs, so everything goes through Harden. If James Harden's being aggressive and hitting shots, that's going to make it a whole heck of a lot easier for Joe to operate in that mid-range to on the block.
Yeah, then he won't have two guys on him, covering him like a blanket and getting his shots blocked. I mean, he is harassed and harangued by the Boston Celtics right now. I mean, yesterday they were all over him. How many shots did he have blocked yesterday? It seemed like had to be at least 5 to 6 shots, something like that. I mean, it felt like every time he got the ball in the fourth quarter, they were taking it away from him.
Yeah, Robert Williams, he's a terrific rim defender. Grant Williams.
And they just get in his face and I mean, they're not as good as he is, but they just get in and they probably make the guy really tired too. They probably tire him out. It's got to be tiring to have guys like right up against you and leaning against you for a whole basketball game. I mean, that's not easy, especially when you're on one leg. I mean, think about it. But what it's doing is it opens it up for Harden. If Harden's going to hit his shots, guess what? You may be in the finals. Because I don't think the Knicks or Miami are any match for these two teams. These two teams are the two best teams in the Eastern Conference right now, and only because of the mental retardation of the NBA not reseeding do you have the silliness of the Knicks having home court advantage against the Miami Heat, in a second round matchup, and the Celtics and 76ers have to play each other. I mean, I'm sorry, but that is completely ridiculous. Even the most ardent NBA fan can't tell me that hockey doesn't do 100 times better job in their playoffs than basketball.
Well, the hockey player, they don't reseed, do they?
Yes, they do. They reseed after every round.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought the point of the format was to have division.
The second and third place teams play, and then the first team, the team that wins the division, gets to play either the seventh, gets to play the 7th or 8th seed, depending on which first place team in each conference has the best record. So if let's say, and I mean we can say this, Boston got to play Florida because Boston had the best record, and Florida had the worst of the two wild card teams' records.
Correct.
So that's why they got to get to play the Panthers in the first round. And now, who would have thought that the Panthers would wake up and play such great hockey? It happens sometimes, but you know what? The NBA needs to start doing that because it's really kind of. I mean, listen, am I thrilled to see the Knicks still playing right now in this round and not having to play the Sixers or Celtics? Hell yeah! Not that I think the Knicks are going to beat Miami, because I don't think they're going to beat Miami. I just think Miami is too seasoned and too much of a veteran team for the Knicks to handle yet. I just don't think they're quite as good as Miami right now, and I doubt that they're going to win a game in Miami. I just don't see it happening. I don't see it happening tonight. I don't see it happening in Game 6 either. So, the Knicks needed to have home court advantage and not lose it, and they lost it in Game 1. So it's going to be a very difficult situation for them. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, obviously. But you watch these two teams, it just seems like the Knicks have to work way too hard for their baskets, and it seems like the Heat don't have to work as hard to score.
Martian Lynch, PJ showed his value yesterday. His leadership and fighting attitude is going to be massive tomorrow night. Yep, we need $30 million of intangibles, and he's going to have to throw in some tangibles as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, he got in Joel Embiid's ear yesterday in the fourth quarter. I can't remember if it was the fourth quarter or overtime when he went off on him, it was
the fourth. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that tells you all you need to know about that guy and his leadership. I mean, who does he think he is? Talking shit to Embiid. Well, guess what? He probably was right, and whatever he said to him seemed like he said he only said like "let's go" or "move it" or whatever. Whatever he said, it seemed to spark the team, because the team was starting to completely fall apart, and then they came back because they actually were behind by 5 in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, they were looking dead, dead and buried.
And James Harden saved their bacon yesterday, and good for him. I'm glad. I always liked James Harden, and I think that sometimes he got a bad rap because other players around him weren't helping him out. But he's got all the help he needs in Philadelphia, so we'll see what happens. I just think it's going to be tough for them not having home court advantage, though. It's tough, Rob. It's tough to beat this Boston Celtics in Boston in the playoffs.
Yeah, it has been for decades.
Yeah, and I mean, if you take a look at it, the entire time the NBA has been in existence, it seems like other than 1967, Boston has owned Philadelphia in the playoffs, and it's time for Philadelphia to turn it around.
Well, they've officially won game 1 in this series. That was their first playoff win in Boston since 1982.
Yeah,
50 years ago. It's at this point,
something like that. Yeah, it's 40 years ago. I mean, that's a long time ago.
Marshawn Lynch, Chris Paul doesn't get the same criticism as James Harden for being a playoff no-show. Just for me, I mean, James Harden, wouldn't exactly call him a clutch player, and he's had his playoff letdowns aplenty in this league.
Yeah, but him
Chris Paul never does anything.
Him losing to the Golden State Warriors is not his fault.
It was Chris Paul's fault because he didn't play in Game 7 because his hamstring hurt. Like, are you kidding me?
Right. But also, Golden State was better than them.
That was a really good Houston Rockets team that I guess it was 19.
Didn't they had Sabonis too, right?
No, they had Harden, they had Paul, they had a much younger, more spry PJ Tucker. They had a lot of guys.
Yeah, they had a very, very good team back then.
They had Game 7 on their court.
Yep. But again, I don't necessarily blame Harden. I mean, Golden State just had more talent, and yet they, and Houston had a chance to win that series. You can't blame James Harden for that. James Harden can't outscore a whole team,
especially the Warriors when they're
got
the Splash Brothers and Draymond, and
sometimes it seems like he can though.
Rob, don't tell me don't freak out and yell at TV in frustration. The Sixers standing around while you see Boston Celtics attack the basket, evidence it's going to be a missed shot. And when it is, they get an offensive rebound. Harford is very good at that. It's frustrating, but I don't think the Sixers are losing basketball games because they're not hustling and doing the little things. They've lost 2 basketball games in this series because they don't have as good of players as Boston. And they have a chance in this series because Joel Embiid has come back. James Harden is playing well, at least in games 1 and game 4. And Doc Rivers is running circles around Joe Mazzulla. I can't sing Doc's praises enough, which never happens here. I think Doc is unfairly criticized in this city. I really do. I just do. He's coaching great right now. He's running circles around Joe Mazzulla, who has a better roster than him.
Yeah, I mean, look, they swept the Nets, which the Nets aren't as good as we all know that, but nonetheless, it's not easy to sweep a playoff series, and they went and they did that. They're doing what they're supposed to do. Okay, and Embiid, he had to rest him during the season every once in a while because Embiid can't play every game every night. It is what it is. So he does what he has to do to make sure they are in the best position they can possibly can be in the playoffs. And I think that they're they obviously have a chance. I'm not saying that they can't win. I just don't think they have a shot to win this series. I mean, Philadelphia had taken the home court advantage away from them, and then they surrendered it again. I just don't know if they can beat Boston now. As I said, Philadelphia has to win Game 5. To me, it is an absolutely lock of mankind thing that if they don't win Game 5, they're not going to win Game 7. It's just it's too hard to do that.
Breaking news from the NHL draft lottery, courtesy of Nick Strysarts in the chat. Flyers have the 7th pick, which I think they were slated to get 7th pick, so no real surprise there.
Well, I thought it was 6, and they went down to 7. But they're obviously not. I don't think anybody expected them to get Bedard, so they're still going to get a top player. I mean, this is a really good draft. So,
Marshawn Lynch, yes, Ralphie, and I would assume Ryan Brodo will be doing second half live reactions to the Golden State Warriors, Los Angeles Lakers Game 4 from the Staples Center.
Sure, by the way, the Knicks trail by 8 at halftime, so they are in this game. They need to keep it under 10 by the beginning of the fourth quarter, and then they'll have a shot. But that's what's going to have to happen.
Don 19, the Arizona Coyotes have the 6th pick in the draft.
Oh, really?
So,
good.
All those conspiracy theories that me, you, and Ralphie discussed are out the window.
Where did the Penguins get? Please don't tell me.
I'm sure people let us know in the chat.
Yes, if somebody can let us know where the Penguins finished, because that's the only one that's the other one I'm concerned about Bettman getting involved in.
Which one? Sorry.
The Penguins.
Oh yeah.
Helping Sidney Crosby, because he's always done that too. But good, Arizona should get number 6. Hopefully it'll be Houston soon.
I mean, Ryan, what's been wrong with Doc's rotations in the playoffs? Nothing. I think Jaden McDaniels should play more. I think Jaden McDaniels should start. That's my only beef, but that's never going to happen because PJ Tucker makes what he makes and Jaden McDaniels makes what he makes. You don't pay $30 million for a bench guy, even though I would start McDaniels and I would bring PJ off the bench. I think it gives you more offense to start the game. Looks like the Chicago Blackhawks have received the first pick in the NHL draft lottery.
Okay, well, you can't complain about that because that kind of they were one of the worst teams I've ever seen. They were that bad.
Were they the number one? Were they the number one chances to get it?
I think that the Ducks had the number one chance. I'm sorry, Brian. I really am. I was hoping you guys would get it, but the Hawks were just a little stinkier than you, I guess, and they were able to get. They're going to get Connor Bedard, but you're not getting a bad player in that guy. I forgot his name. It starts with an F, Fandaglio or something like that. But that guy is really good too. I mean, he's not very much. There's not a significant difference between him and Bedard, to be honest with you. The second pick is almost as good as the first pick. I mean, honestly, the first 5-6 players in this draft are incredibly good players. So
there's 5-6 studs in the draft, and the Flyers have the 7th pick. Am I reading that correct? So there's 6 studs, and the Flyers have 7th. Great. Another comment by Ryan Swoop that I couldn't disagree more with. Tyrese Maxey needs to slow it down sometimes. He also needs to stop shooting off balance and rushing his shots. That's his number one skill set, is he's super fast with the basketball. So Tyrese Maxey, you get a rebound, you can get Tyrese Maxey in the open floor. You do that every single time because when he gets moving towards the basket unimpeded, he's going to finish. You don't want him shooting threes or off balance threes. Okay, but that's his game. That's his game. So I don't know. You want guys to just change their game in second round of the playoffs in May? No, Tyrese Maxey is an up-tempo, high-energy starting guard in this league. So I have no problems with the way Tyrese Maxey's been playing at all. None. I mean, Tatum had 18 rebounds yesterday. Yeah, Tatum's a stud, man. Larry Aquino, Sixers. Sorry, Larry. Check us out on Facebook. Sixers do have a shot.
No, it says they do have no shot.
They do. They had a little double negative there. Threw me off. And I'm a Sixers fan. I didn't think the Sixers had a prayer to win this series. I picked the Celtics in 4 after the Embiid injury. So, I mean, they're 2-2. So, like, they have a shot. I think you hit the nail on the head, Brad. Like, you got to win game 5. It's a swing game.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's too hard. It's too hard to go out and try to win game 7 there. It's really hard. In the NBA, how many home teams lose game 7?
Off the top of my head, you're correct. I don't think many.
Yeah,
the Rockets did. The Rockets did when they had Chris Paul and James Harden.
Yeah, I know, but that was Golden State, and Golden State was different.
Bob Brinkman agrees with Brian. The Sixers rush their offense. Harden is a very cool offensive player. I want to run as much as possible against this Boston Celtics team because if you want to play a knockdown, drag them out, half-court slugfest, you're not going to beat Boston. No shot. You got to get the tempo up as much as possible, and you need to hit your shots, and you need to attack the basket in transition. Now, I know that's not the norm in playoff basketball, but I think that's what the Sixers need to do.
Yeah, you don't want to play half court against them. I mean, because they're just really good at switch. I mean, they do a great job switching, Rob. They really do, and somehow they're able to double team Embiid and then double team Harden at the same time. I don't know how they do it, but their rotations are really, really good, and that's why it's kind of imperative that they play fast. I mean, I think Doc is doing the right thing playing fast.
Agreed. Push. Like, I love when Tobias Harris gets the rebound and pushes tempo. I love when Harden does it, and I love when Maxey does it. I love when Melton does it when he comes in off the bench. That's your edge, in my opinion, against this Boston Celtics team. Up tempo. Because the Celtics are going to slow it down, and yeah, they get out in transition sometimes, but they want to play half court and they want to play bully ball. Penguins got the 14th pick.
Good. Okay. Good. So that's kind of where they belonged. So, okay. And I guess Anaheim probably got number 2, I would assume.
Ryan Swoop Doc should try and pair Paul Reed with Embiid and just a little and see what happens. Like, no, I don't agree with that either.
No, that'll slow him down.
Don't agree with that either.
That'll slow him down. That's not what you want.
Paul Reed is a 15-minute a game backup center who's an exceptional rebounder. He goes in, he spells Embiid, then he comes out. That's his only purpose, is to play when Embiid can't go and when Embiid is tired.
Or to just get an extra body underneath the basket.
Playing
defense.
2 centers in today's NBA is not how you win.
No,
big time games and big time series.
There's too many quick guards that can shoot from the outside.
Because then you're going to have Paul Reed on a stretch 4, and he's going to get dusted.
Yeah, it's like a center trying to guard Harden. He can't do it. Harden's too quick for them. I mean, he dusted those guys over and over again yesterday. It was unbelievable how they would go out and double team him outside to try to stop him from the 3, and then he just go right past them and go in and do the teardrop. I mean, the guy is just unbelievable when he's on and and his attitude and his head is in the right place. I mean, boy, oh boy, he is just unbelievable. Thank you, Larry. I really appreciate the update there. Ducks 2, Columbus 3. And Brian Daly, I'm really sorry that you didn't get. You're not going to get Bedard, but you will get the other guy who's really good too. So
Then we had a couple examples here from Don19 about home teams that lost Game 7s in the NBA. The Warriors lost Game 7 against the Cavs. That was, of
Okay.
course, the famous LeBron block. And then LeBron beat Boston in Game 7 in 2018.
But who are we talking about right now?
Talking about LeBron.
Okay. Thank
LeBron.
you.
Yeah.
LeBron did it. Okay.
Kinda,
Not other guys. We're talking about one of the greatest NBA players in the history
not
of the game. As much as I can't stand LeBron, okay, he's still, I can't deny how great LeBron James is. Okay,
not bad for a slouch and a fraud that everyone likes to
And
label him with.
he's not a fraud. Just because he's not better than Jordan doesn't make him a fraud.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean
Nothing wrong.
yeah, I mean that's ridiculous.
Nothing wrong with silver when it comes to
No.
all-time NBA player rankings because LeBron's clearly number 2. Clearly.
Yeah. Kobe's number 3 and probably and Wilt is number 4, and then you put Steph's number 5. I think right now that would be my rankings.
Not bad rankings.
Yeah, Wilt is number. You got to still keep Wilt in there. Wilt's number 3. He's still the greatest center of all time. I mean, I know Russell won all the championships, but Russell had a lot of help. He had a lot more help than Wilt did. And the other thing was Russell also had a lot more. He just had a lot more heart than Wilt. It seemed like Wilt gave up too easy. That was the difference. Wilt got frustrated, and Russell just never got frustrated. He was able to keep his emotions in check, and that was the difference between those two. Wilt was a much better player. Let's be honest. Russell never averaged 50 points a game. Okay, that never happened. But nobody ever scored 50 points against Russell either. So.
All right, Brad, let's move on to some baseball talk here. Baseball talk tonight, looking to buy or sell a home, looking for a change in career brokerage, contact our good friend Alan Foy, eXp Realty, 302-682-8820, or you can visit him at his website and email address, alan.foy@exprealty.com. So, Brad, I wanted to kick it off tonight with some American League East talk. Yankees currently sitting in last place in the American League East.
That is going to change.
I completely agree with you, but I can imagine that Yankees fans are not pleased.
We're not pleased, but I'll tell you what, right now, I'm relieved at the fact that they are still in a situation where they can still make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to catch Tampa Bay because Tampa Bay is just too good. But that doesn't mean that they can't beat them in a playoff series. Tomorrow, Aaron Judge comes back, and that is a monumental occurrence for the Yankees because without him and without Stanton and without Donaldson, they have nobody who can hit the ball out of the ballpark. Although tonight they're hitting the ball out of the ballpark. But let's be honest, if you gave me a bat and told me to go up there against the Oakland A's, I probably might be able to hit the ball out of the ballpark myself. I mean, but the reason I think the Yankees are going to start getting hot, A, is they're playing the Oakland A's 3 times in a row, okay? And B, Judge comes back tomorrow. So if that doesn't wake this team up and they don't start hitting, I don't know what to say. They'll get Stanton back probably in a month, which is a long time, but they'll get him back. The news about Josh Donaldson probably a week from Friday. Now I know everybody's going to say, yeah, but he can't hit anymore. But you know what? I agree. He's not the same guy offensively as he was in his prime, but he'll still give you like 15 home runs, and he is an outstanding defensive player still. That's one thing that has not left his game, and they are hurting defensively at third base right now. You take a look and see who's playing third base today. It would be Isaiah Kiner Falefa. And yeah, he won a Gold Glove a couple of years ago, but last year he completely melted down defensively. So now he plays everywhere instead of just third or short or whatever. So, there's a difference defensively there. and somehow the Yankees with 11 guys still on the disabled list right now are over 500 and hanging in there. So now they get Judge back, and things should start changing. Hopefully, Severino will be back. I know he's going on a rehab starts now, so that's a good thing to get stretched out. So you probably figure another 2 weeks for him. But once they get him back, I think that Domingo Germán has been outstanding this season. You're gonna have your 1, 2, 3, 4 pitchers out there. I don't know what's going on with Rodon. I can't say I do, because I know I heard he just got a shot in the back for his back. So we'll see what happens there. He got cortisone in the back. So I mean, his arm is healed, but now his back is bothering him, and now he's been told he has a situation with his back where it's going to be a chronic problem for him. So who knows? But if we can get him pitching, then we'll have our pitching staff back. And as I said, we get Stanton back in there, there won't be any problem scoring runs. But you take all these guys out of the lineup, including Bader too, which they missed him, believe it or not. Bader, if you remember last year in the playoffs, was spectacular for the Yankees against Cleveland and against Houston. He was the only one really that hit the ball. So, you get him back, that's a start. But having Judge, I just think it's going to be like a lightning rod for them. You would think.
Phillies got their own lightning rod back recently. Bryce Harper it's like he never left. He has 1 home run already. He's so good. I mean, he's spraying the ball, oppo. He's spraying the ball. He's pulling the ball. He's hitting opposite field. He's hitting it up the middle. He's only got the 1 home run. He's going to get more.
He makes, yeah. I know it's only one guy in baseball is 9 guys hitting, but one guy can change the whole dynamic of a team. And between Aaron Judge and Bryce Harper, those are 2 guys that can change the dynamics of a team. And the fact that the Yankees are not under 500, I think they're 2 games over 500. They're still right there as far as trying to make the playoffs are concerned. They'll get it going. And hopefully they can get some of their relief pitching back, because they're missing the problem with the relief pitching is, Efros is gone for the year. You're not going to see him. Trevino is going to have Tommy John surgery, so you're not going to see him. Who knows about Canely? So I mean, we're looking really realistically. We've got to get Loizaga back. He's just a huge cog in that bullpen right now, and they really, really sorely miss him. So hopefully they get him back soon, and at least you have another guy out there to help this bullpen, because they really need him.
Ryan Swoopy super pumped for the Rangers Suarez return, which appears to be imminent because they used Matt Strom to pitch the final 2 innings yesterday against the Boston Red Sox. Ryan Swoop asking me if I minded Alvarado pitching outside of the closer role. I mean, it was a closing situation. It was 4-1. I think the final was 6-1. I should know because I was at 7-4. The game. The Phillies and the Red Sox yesterday?
Yeah, it ends up 7-4.
Did it?
Yeah.
No, 6-1 yesterday. 6-1.
6-1? I thought it was 7-4. Maybe that was the game before.
They lost 7-4 Saturday.
Okay, then I'm wrong.
But yeah, the Phillies, I thought the Phillies were about to go on a tear, and then they go out to LA to Dodger Stadium and they get swept. And then they lost the first 2 games of the Boston series. By the way, Boston can hit. I'm not buying.
I told you that.
I didn't believe you. Well,
I told you that
the Yoshida guy they got from Japan, he's as real as it gets. He's a really good player. I mean, I don't know about Yoshida. I don't watch Japanese baseball. I didn't know that was going to translate to the MLB like it has. And it's been, a month and a half now. So there's been a book on him, and he continues to hit. I think he was the American League Player of the Week last week.
He's a good hitter. Listen, they can hit. Verdugo, can hit. So I mean, they've got enough guys to hit. And Sale is back, so they're not going to be so easy to beat anymore either. They don't really have any pitching beyond Sale, but they are not as bad as everybody thought they were going to be.
Well, they also-
Baltimore's been playing super good baseball this year. Very impressed with the way they've been coming along. They can hit, and their pitching has gotten a lot better.
I mean, look, I look for 4 things when I look at a baseball team and see if they can contend or not. You need to have an ace, which the Phillies have, your Yankees have. You need to have a lineup that can absolutely mash, which the Phillies have and the Yankees
We don't have
have.
that. Well, when healthy, yes. This lineup right
The
now that you're
Yankees or
seeing
the
today,
Phillies?
the Yankees. The lineup you're seeing right now is not a mashing lineup.
But at
But they will
optimal
be.
potential, even with Judge back and Stanton still on the show, the Yankees should not have any problem scoring runs with Rizzo and Volpe hitting leadoff.
No, and Rizzo
LeMahieu can
and
still
yeah,
hit.
and Rizzo and Torres, they got enough guys to hit. They can hit. And
You need
Trevino
strong
was a pretty,
defense. You need strong defense up the middle, which I think the Phillies have with JT Realmuto, Turner, Stott, and Marsh in center. I can't
yeah. I
speak
think
to
the
the
Yankees, when healthy, are pretty strong up the middle too. I mean, you've got a great center fielder in Bader. Trevino is a very good defensive catcher, and then you've got Torres and Volpe at short and second. They're pretty strong defense. That's a pretty
pretty
strong
good.
defensive
And then you
team.
need a strong bullpen, which that's the one that's kind of up in the air, but it's up in the air for a lot of teams. I think the
Well,
Phillies are
Baltimore, just to mention them, their bullpen is tremendous, and they've got one of the best closers in the game right now. I'm not kidding. That guy Batista, have you seen him?
Felix Batista. Yeah, and that
Yeah,
other guy, Cano, who comes in before Batista, he's
yeah.
lights out as well. Pitches
Those
multiple
guys,
innings.
Yeah. If you get behind, if you're behind them after 7 innings, you're in big trouble because they can close games. They'll close games out on you, and they also move that left field fence back 30 feet. So that's something that you have to contend with now.
But
I mean,
Baltimore doesn't have an ace, which I think is number
no,
1 on my championship pedigree checklist there. You got to have an
right,
ace.
right. But that doesn't mean they can't make the playoffs, though.
Phillies have Wheeler. Yes, I do think Zach Wheeler is a better pitcher than Aaron Nola. I think Aaron Nola is a good pitcher, but I wouldn't call him an ace.
Well, right now, your pitching is at the bottom of the league. Those guys are going to have to start picking it up because it's.
Well, Taijuan Walker has not earned his paycheck yet. He pitched really well yesterday. He didn't walk many guys, but I mean, all these guys have to do when Taijuan Walker's in the game now is just stand there and wait for their free pass. He's been walking way too many guys, and he's really going to have to step it up, making $18 million a year. You're going to get Suarez back, which is big because then Strom's going to go to the bullpen and give you a multi-inning lefty reliever. That's going to improve your bullpen greatly. And then you have the 5th guy, Bailey Falter, who, you can play games with. You get him through 3 innings, put Strom in there to piggyback him and do kind of a bullpen Tampa Bay Rays thing for the rest of the game. But Phillies has everything you need to win a championship. They have an ace. They have strong defense up the middle. They have a lineup that absolutely matches. And I think their bullpen is good enough.
I don't think their starting pitching is good enough right now. They have not. They've been bad, Rob. Let's be honest.
With a healthy look, Wheeler is going to be fine and Nola is going to be fine. If Taijuan
sure?
Walker's
Because
yes.
Wheeler's had a lot of injuries in his career. I mean, he hasn't had very many with Philly, but his Met career was covered with injuries. I mean, it could, something could happen with him. He has not been all that great this year, and neither is Nola, to be honest with you. And neither one of them have pitched well, and the rest of the rotation has been inconsistent as well. They're only going to go as far as their pitching takes them. They can hit. We know that. They can absolutely mash. But their starting pitching has to come together. If it doesn't, they can't out-hit everybody. Yeah, they're going to have off games offensively, just like every other team in the league does. They've got to get this thing straightened out.
And then you had really encouraging sign yesterday. Schwarber goes 2 for 3. He ripped a single. He blasted a home run to the upper deck. So he's going to come as well. Castellanos is hitting great. Brandon Marsh is hitting great. Stott is hitting great. Alec Boehm is hitting great. You have Harper back now. He's hitting great. So, yes, the Phillies are a playoff team, in my opinion.
I don't know.
I think they're going to make the playoffs.
I'm going to tell you why they may. I'm going to tell you how they may not. Okay, San Diego can hit the ball better than them. The Dodgers are still the Dodgers, and don't forget about the Diamondbacks. They're pretty damn good this year too.
I love the Diamondbacks.
And
I love the Diamondbacks.
you
I think
still
they're
are
gonna
going to
win the
have to
West.
you're still going to have to deal with the Mets and the Braves. So
The Mets are a dumpster fire.
right now they are, but they're going to get all their guys back. Their pitching staff is going to get solidified. I can't believe they're going to stay like this all season. Although it'd be fun. It'd be fun to watch, though.
Like, this is what teams like the Mets do. They go out and they spend a lot of money, and then they fall flat on their face. Scherzer's hurt now too, right?
I think Verlander's back, and Scherzer hurt. Again, is Scherzer hurt again?
They're not winning very many games.
No, they just lost 2 out of 3 to Colorado. So, and I got to tell you, and it's kind of fun kicking the Met fans in the butts while they're down, because you know what? With all the guys that we have hurt, Rob, we still have a better record than them.
Yeah, you're above 500, which is a testament to
they're
something
scrappy.
about those pinstripes, man. It's something about
scrappy.
The Bronx and those pinstripes. They're always right in the mix. Even when they're not, they're right around the corner.
Yeah, they're finding a way to hang in there, and as I said, they stuck around. They haven't gotten themselves like they're not the Cardinals, okay? They're not 11-23 or whatever the heck the Cardinals are.
Yeah, it's Don. What's wrong with the Cardinals? They're bad. I told everyone before the season that even though I picked them in that division, that I wasn't a fan of their pitching, but they have a really uphill battle because Arenado is lost. I don't know what's going on with him.
Tell me about it, Rob. I picked him on my fantasy team, thinking, okay, look at this lineup I'm going to have: Judge, Stanton, and Arenado, and Brian Reynolds. I was like, wow, this is going to be a great lineup. And 2 guys hurt. Arenado stinks. Reynolds has been great, but you just don't know. Arenado has been invisible this year.
And they spent $87.5 million on Wilson Contreras from the Cubs. And rumors are he's going to be the DH. He's lost it behind the plate, I guess. I don't know. He's moving in the outfield, DH. I don't know what they're doing.
I don't know, but he's not gonna be catching much anymore. They have another guy catching. I guess that second baseman that they have now, Gorman, is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been pretty. He's on my fantasy team, and he's been pretty good this year. So I guess because of him there's a lot of moving parts, but that team is terrible. Steven Matz has been awful. Jordan Montgomery is going back to being the same Jordan Montgomery that was on the Yankees.
Miles Mikolas has been horrible.
Yeah, he's back to being himself again. The garbage that he was 2 years ago. And Flaherty, I don't know what's going on with Flaherty, but I think Flaherty will turn it around. But he can't do it himself. Some of the other guys have to get some outs too.
Because don't look now. Like, I think the Cubs are for real.
Are they though? Do you think they have enough pitching? I mean, their ace right now.
That's a weak division, and Milwaukee has the pitching, but they seem to struggle to score runs. At least they have in the past. Boy, I mean, look at the Cardinals, 11-24. I mean, that's a big hole.
That easily could have happened to the Yankees, Rob, with all the injuries they've had.
Well,
easily.
The Cubs, they bring in Swanson, and he's been pretty good. They had Ian Happ. They had Nico Horner.
Stroman has been a pleasant surprise for them. He's been their ace.
He's pitching tonight. The Cubs and Cardinals are playing right now. Cardinals have 1-0 in the bottom of the 5th. Stroman's pitching against Miles Mikolas. Miles Mikolas is pitching well so far. Stroman pitching well again. And Justin Steele is a tremendous lefty they have over there. I mean, you have
Is he the same guy that was on Kansas City and didn't get anybody out?
He might be. I don't really know where
he was. I think he was. He was on Kansas City and he was terrible.
Well, he's good. He's found a home in Wrigley, and on a bunch of my fantasy teams, he's been terrific. And then Cody Bellinger out of nowhere is returning to MVP form. This team can hit. This team can absolutely hit the ball.
Sometimes guys just have to get out. Just can't play in a certain city. Look at Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray's
couldn't take the heat in New York.
No, and as soon as he went to Cincinnati, he seemed to turn it around, and now he's pitching great in Minnesota.
Nolan Arenado not in the lineup tonight. Nolan
Nope.
Gorman over at third base. Tommy Edman manning second base. Paul DeJong at shortstop. So they're going to need Nolan Arenado to start playing like an MVP candidate if they're going to dig themselves out of this hole. Wilson Contreras is the DH tonight against his former team. He is 1 for 2 in the ballgame. I mean, Wilson Contreras, he is hitting 270 average, 343 on base, 395 slugging. That's not bad. But I guess then
but his catching must be bad.
They have this guy Kinizer.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce his name.
They got him doing the catching now.
Yeah, he's probably a really good defensive catcher. They probably maybe he's become Gary Sanchez. I mean, with all due respect, I don't watch a lot of the Cardinals, so I couldn't tell you. But, maybe he's having Gary Sanchez moments behind the plate, and that if he is, then that would explain why he's playing another position now.
Gary Sanchez briefly signed by the San Francisco Giants to a minor league deal. He was released a few days later.
Yeah,
hard to believe. Quite a fall from grace for Mr. Sanchez there.
I mean, this is a guy that hit 30 home runs twice with the Yankees, and used to hit tape measure home runs. And I used to discuss him in the same sentence as JP Realmuto. But you know what? He obviously, whatever it is, he never improved behind home plate, and for whatever reason, his hitting just seemed to take a nosedive, and he's never recovered.
Don 19 is excited about the Tigers. Tigers beat the Guardians today, 6-2. Tigers are second in the stinky AL Central.
In the stinky.
The AL Central.
Yeah, it is bad.
The Royals are horrible. The White Sox are just they're bad. They're just a bad organization. All those prospects they stockpiled when they were rebuilding, they're all in the majors now, and they're not any good.
And the one guy that was really good is injured again. I can't remember his name.
Eloy Jimenez had to have an emergency appendectomy.
Yeah, that's the guy. He's injured yet again.
But Giolito, Michael Kopech, like Tim Anderson is always hurt. Luis Robert hasn't figured it out consistently. Luis Robert was supposed to be the second coming. I mean,
I know he was. He was 2 years ago. He was outstanding. I mean, all those guys. It's unbelievable what kind of a fall from grace that team has had. I mean, they're probably going to end up having to trade all these guys and start all over again.
Boy, I mean, I don't know what it would take, but I think Dylan Cease, despite his struggles this season, I think he's a really good pitcher. Second in the AL Cy Young voting last year.
I think he's a real good pitcher too, Rob. But maybe
Dave Dombrowski can get on the horn at the trade deadline and bring Dylan Cease to Philadelphia to round out that rotation. If you had a guy like Dylan Cease to the Phillies rotation,
well, if he can rediscover the magic, it would be a heist.
It's gotta be there, right?
I think it is. As I said before, some guys, for whatever reason, they seem to go south in the city they're playing in, and then as soon as they leave and go somewhere else, they seem to get it back again. We've seen so many. Look at Castellanos. Okay, Castellanos, when he was with Detroit, was great, and then all of a sudden he started tailing off, and he started hitting 240. So they send him. He ends up in Cincinnati, where he has a great year. Then he tails off again, goes to Philly, has a horrible year, and then this year he's back again. So
playing great.
It can happen it happens to a lot of guys. Some guys there are some cities some guys just aren't meant to play in. Sonny Gray with the Yankees. He's another example.
Ryan Swoop, was Gary Sanchez a good catcher defensively? Brad, you want to take that one?
No, he was dreadful. He had a great arm though. That he was great at throwing guys out. The problem was that he had too many pass balls, and the other problem was whenever Chapman used to come in the ninth inning and Sanchez was the catcher, Chapman was always good for a walk every game that he came in, and then the inevitable pass ball from Sanchez would always put a runner at second base. So every time Chapman came in, even when Chapman was on the top of his game, you were sitting there trembling at the thought of, if the guy gets to third base, what's going to happen? Is Gary going to have another pass ball again? Because he was that bad defensively. I mean, it got to that point. That's why the Yankees finally let him go. That and the home run stopped.
Just looking at the standings here, AL Central, it is tight and bunched. Still think Cleveland's the best team there.
Well, they're the disappointing team right now.
16 and 19 on the year.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to believe, because you would have thought that they'd be in a much better position than they are.
Then the AL West is backwards to this point so far. The Texas Rangers are really good.
I told you they'd be good.
I picked them for the playoffs. I did. I picked 3 teams from the AL West.
They'd be a lot better this year. The Angels are playing better, and Houston just had a devastating injury with Luis Garcia.
Yes, he needs Tommy John surgery. He will be done for the season. Rob,
that is a huge loss for them,
especially when you let Verlander walk like they did.
Exactly. Now you got Framber Valdez and Christian Javier, who are 2 of the best pitchers in baseball. But I mean, after that, it's a long way down, unless McCullers comes back healthy and starts pitching like we know.
They do have that rookie that's on my fantasy team who's pitching tonight.
I know who you're talking about.
Hunter Brown. He's been really good. He hasn't given up a home run all season. 55 innings.
That's impressive when you consider.
I don't know if that's the whole season, but he hasn't given up a home run in 55 innings.
Yeah, well, when you consider the Crawford seats are are a very close proximity to home plate, that's pretty impressive. I don't think Altuve's played yet this year, has he?
No, he's coming. He's close. Yeah. He obviously fractured his thumb in that World Baseball Classic, and
so that's I mean that has to be
that'll help. But
yeah,
Brad,
that has to be hurting.
Getting back to the Rangers here, the only team with a better run differential in the American League than the Texas Rangers is the Tampa Bay Rays, who are just playing better than everyone at 28-7.
Tampa Bay just has that it factor going for it right now. I mean, yesterday the Yankees were ahead of them 6-0 with Cole on the mound, and they couldn't hold the lead.
I love when those 2 teams play. There's a lot of bad blood there, and it's fun.
Oh yeah.
They don't like a Rosarina.
Well, because a Rosarina, let's be honest.
He's a showboat.
Okay? If you're going to stop at every base when you hit a home run and start flexing, what do you think is going to happen? You really think a team like the Yankees are going to put up with that crap?
Didn't they plunked them twice though, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
Twice?
Yeah, and you know what's hilarious?
Is that a little excessive? Twice?
Yeah, it is excessive, but you know what? The funny thing was Cash got thrown out because they didn't give the Yankees a warning. Not until after the second time they hit him. And you know they threw at him both times, so it's kind of funny, but the umpires know when a guy is acting like an asshole. So a lot of times if a guy has it coming, they're gonna let it let it go. And a guy like a Rosarina, when you start doing that, I'm sure the umpire was probably saying, "Look at this guy," and you could bet that Trevino or Higashioka, whoever was catching, was probably saying to the umpire, "You got to be kidding with this stuff." You can't do that. You know that, right?
I mean, Ryan Swoop, was he supposed to be good defensively? You rated him like JT Realmuto. I mean,
well, he could hit like JT Realmuto. As a matter of fact, he was hitting better than JT Realmuto for 3 years. I mean, he was hitting. He had like over 100 home runs in 3 years. Gary Sanchez. That's how good he was. But for whatever reason, all of a sudden, he had 1 year. He had 1 year where he hit 180, and then he came back and hit 250. And then he went back to 180 again, and then it went from 180 to like 130, and that was it. And he never seemed to recover. And then he got traded to Minnesota, and he stunk there. and Minnesota didn't re-sign him. So, and he bounced around to the Giants. Now he's a total free agent. I think he's who is he playing with? Where's he playing now? I think he's playing in another country now.
Well, I think a Mexican league signed him, and then the Giants tried him out for a couple days, and then they got rid of him as well.
Yeah, he's a guy that, you know what, the problem is, Rob, there are guys that are hard workers, and then there's guys like Gary Sanchez who didn't work hard enough to improve his game. And you know what, the pitchers adjusted to him and he didn't adjust back. They found his weak spot. You throw the slider down and away, and he chases it every time. And he was always striking out. And you know what? Once everybody figured that out, he was never the same. I mean, Judge used to have that weakness, Rob, and he still does. That's still the way to get him out, to throw that slider down and away, and he'll sometimes go after it. But you know what? He learned to stop fishing, and he ended up winning an MVP and hitting over 300 because he stopped fishing at that ball. Gary Sanchez just never adjusted and stopped going for that ball and being a sucker, and that's why he's not in the league anymore.
We getting to the National League. I mean, we spoke about the Cardinals, or lack thereof, at 11-24, up 1-0 tonight though, 2-8 in their last 10. But the Pittsburgh Pirates,
they've been playing good ball.
Sit atop of the NL Central. Bitch, they've already won tonight. They beat the Colorado Rockies 2-0. Another massive performance by Mitch Keller.
Mitch Keller has had one heck of a year this year.
The Pirates are 3-10, 3-7 in their last 10. I think that
because they got swept by Tampa Bay.
I'll tell you what, Brad. I mean, I talked about the Cubs before. If I had to pick a National League Central champion right now and redo predictions, I think I'd pick the Cubs. I really do. They have a plus 46 run differential. They're also 3-7 in their last 10, but I believe in their lineup. I think you can bash your way to the division championship in the Central.
Division,
I really do.
In that division, you might be able to get away with that. You can't do that in the East, though, because Atlanta is too good.
24-11, the Atlanta Braves, plus 56 run differential. They just have arms on top of arms on top of arms. They got Bryce Elder, whatever his name is, pitching like Bob Gibson. Fried's been pretty good when healthy. Spencer Strider is terrific. You know, they have an embarrassment of riches down there in Atlanta. They're going to be very tough to beat. Then no other team in the NL East is above 500. The Mets are ice cold right now. They're still one game. They're one game below 500. The Marlins have the same record. They're 17-18. The Phillies are 16-19, which I think that's going to change. I think that they're going to go. I mean, the Phillies, they never play this good at this time of year. They hit their stride. They're going to start hitting, and I think they're going to be fine. The Nationals, they're just rebuilding and not going to be a factor. And then you go to the West.
3 good teams in the West right now.
I love the Diamondbacks. I really do. Dodgers are in first place.
Yeah, you were right. You were right about the Diamondbacks. You were absolutely right.
I mean, they can hit. I mean, they have a really good young player, Corbin Carroll, out there in
and
Arizona.
Zach Allen is terrific.
He doesn't give up runs.
Yeah, well, he leads the league in strikeouts, doesn't he?
Don't have it in front of me, but it wouldn't surprise me at all.
I think he does. I mean, he's been tremendous, and congratulations to his dad Jim and my friend Buddy White, who that's his cousin and that's Jim's son. I congratulate the two of them.
My cousin, I like the Diamondbacks, and I'd be lying if that didn't have it. My cousin Jonathan, you might have met Jonathan before. He's neighbors with Gallen's dad.
Jim.
Yeah, he bought a house with his wife, and they live. Neighbors, down the street.
Jim used to work with me at SRA. Good guy. Always a really good, friendly guy. So I'm happy. I'm happy to hear. It's great to hear how successful Zach has become. Really, it's great.
And that's not
unbelievable right now.
That's not an easy ballpark out there to pitch in.
No, the thin air and the thin
They
desert
got the
air and
humidor
everything
going,
else.
and it doesn't affect Zach, though. He's a Cy Young candidate if there ever was one.
Well, if you can't hit the ball, it doesn't matter. It won't carry if it doesn't get hit. Let's put it that way.
And then the Dodgers are just being the Dodgers. I mean, the farm system's unbelievable.
Yeah, and
the way they develop players. I mean, they got
Dustin May has come back and he's been pretty good.
I think the story of the Dodgers is that they lose Trey Turner and they bring up, I mean, not the same position. I get that, but they got an outfielder who's a rookie. This guy, James Outman, and he's tearing the cover off the ball.
Yeah, they've been the Dodgers
replenish.
The Dodgers just seem to be able to bring guys in and bring guys in. I mean, they have an incredibly good farm system.
Kershaw's pitching great. May's pitching great. Godsling's back.
Yep.
They're down 3-1 right now to the Brewers on the out-of-town scoreboard.
Okay. Last I checked, the Yankees were ahead of Oakland 5-2.
It is now 7-2 Yankees in the top.
7-2. Well, listen, Oakland is
they're terrible. 8-27.
Expect the Yankees to start a winning streak. Not only because they're playing Oakland, but the prospect of Judge coming back. I know Judge was in the stadium tonight taking batting practice, and
they had him on MLB channel. It looks like he was swinging fine.
Yeah, he looked pretty good.
Like supposedly, he was swinging fine. Yep.
Yeah, supposedly he was ready to go a few days ago, but they put him on the DL just to make absolutely sure he didn't re-injure himself. So
yeah, I mean that was a
smart
1,000% precautionary.
Yeah.
By the Yankees.
Yeah. I mean, if it was the playoffs, he would have been playing. But
like the Royals are bad. They're 9-26, and I think they're a little better than that. Not much because they have Bobby Witt and Pasquantino, and Brady Singer hasn't figured it out this year yet. There's at least guys that I've heard that the A's are just 8-27. They have the worst run differential.
The only guy that you would have probably hear of is Jesus Aguilar. And
he's on the A's now?
Yeah, he's the first baseman, and the outfielder, what the hell's his name?
Good. He was been on the Miami Marlins the past couple of years.
Yeah,
Laureano. He always hit against the Phillies.
Yeah, Laureano is still on that team, but that team is so bad. It's just you look at the JP Sears. I mean, honestly, he pitched well for the first 4 innings. But the Yankees used him as batting practice tonight. It was unbelievable how bad. And boy, I'll tell you what, that Yankee trade where they got Trevino and Montes, the 3 guys that they gave Oakland are just as bad. I mean, none of them are pitching well. They're all getting hammered as well.
Well, they got that. What's his name? Brent Rooker, who's hitting a lot of home runs for them.
Yeah, he's not from the Yankees though.
Okay.
He's not from the Yankees.
Well, wherever he came from.
3 pitchers.
I mean,
the Yankees gave him 3 pitchers, and they're all getting bought. JP Sears, Wickenheisen, I think is the other guy's name. It is one of the names, and I can't remember who the other one was, but they're all getting bombed. Waldachek. That's it. Waldachek. They're all getting bombed. San Diego, by the way, you're right, Ryan. I think that lineup is just ridiculous. I mean, watching them against the Dodgers last night. Boy, I mean that lineup from 1 to 9, that's probably the best lineup in baseball.
Well, I mean, if Tatis is on the field and not being a clown, doing steroids and riding motorcycles, I mean, he's tremendous.
Yeah, he's playing right field. He's playing right field now.
And now they have Bogarts, who's
they needed
rock
him
solid offensively and defensively. I mean,
they needed him like a hole in the head, right?
I mean, that left side of the infield is just a vacuum over there with Machado and Bogarts on that side.
Yep. I mean, it's amazing that they've been able that team has gone from I think $140 million payroll 4 years ago to a $280 million payroll, and you know what? You got to give the city and the owner a lot of credit.
Absolutely.
Because you know what?
Go spend money.
They did it gradually, but they kicked the payroll up and kept kicking it up,
and then they just
and the fans support them. So they're in good shape, and they got enough players that are in their prime right now. They're going to be a very dangerous team if their pitching comes around, because they can hit with anybody. I mean, that lineup is just too much.
I mean, you have Musgrove and Darvish at the top. That's pretty good. You got Hader at the back end, who struggled at the end of last year, but seems to be back.
Yeah, he's pitching well. But they need more than that as far as the starting pitching. They need another big arm in that rotation. There's no doubt about
they
that.
went out and got Soto. They went out and got Bogarts. They went out and got Hader. So they're not bashful about adding. I don't know what their farm system looks like after completing all those trades, but
do they even need one anymore?
No, you don't need it. You're win now mode. You don't need prospects.
Right.
There's gonna be a new matchup. The draft is. I just was watching stuff about the draft on MLB Network today. The draft's All-Star Weekend, up in Seattle. And guess what? A whole new prospects that are the greatest things since sliced bread are going to get picked in this draft too.
Right.
So there's a time and a place for prospects.
And most of them won't make it.
The Phillies and the Padres and the Yankees and the Mets. You don't need prospects. You got to win now. I have every confidence that Dave Dombrowski here in Philadelphia will go out and address the pitching if need be, if they have to.
I think they absolutely need be. They've got to get another arm. The Phillies. They just do. You can't have the worst ERA in baseball and not be concerned.
Well, I'm still salty that Andrew Painter's hurt because I don't think they handled him correctly in spring training at all. He should have never been on the fast track to be the fifth starter on opening day. Like, for who, for what? He's 19 years old. He just went out there and threw 1,000,000 miles an hour in spring training and got himself hurt. I don't think it was good management by the Phillies at all. He should have.
They were excited. You know what? They were too excited about him. They should have tried needed him. No, I understand that.
But
you can't. But sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to be smart.
You needed to protect the kid from himself because he's 19. Right. He hasn't figured out he can throw. We all know he can throw, but he hasn't figured out how to pitch at the big league level yet.
And you have to think that the kid of course is going to go out there and give it 150%.
Yeah, he wants to impress the coaches and the general manager and all the veterans to prove that he belongs and get himself on the big league roster.
Yeah,
he's 19.
Yeah, of
he's
course.
19.
Yeah, and of course he wants to do that. Why wouldn't he?
Put him on an extended spring, bring him up June 1st, and then you got a rock-solid pitcher for the next 10, 15 years here in Philadelphia. But instead, you didn't protect the kid from himself. He threw 1,000,000 miles an hour from Jump Street, and he hurt his elbow. The second I saw him, he was touching 3 digits in bullpen sessions in the spring training. I said, this is going to be trouble, and sure enough, it was.
Yeah, at this point this year, they may want to consider him. Maybe they might do what the Rays did with David Price. If you recall that when they first got David Price, he was the closer
in 2008. Yeah, they lost to the Phillies that year. Yeah,
right.
But he was the closer. They finally beat Boston.
Yep, but they made him the closer so that he wouldn't overdo it. And if I remember correctly, also they didn't let him pitch 2 days in a row because they were trying to take care of him. But that's kind of what they might. Maybe the Phillies might do that with Painter. That might not be a bad idea. I mean, if he's throwing 100 miles an hour, and you just have him in there for one inning, and he pitches 2 or 3 times a week, he's not going to get hurt, and you could always next year build him up to be a starter. It won't kill him to do that, and it may really help your team because if you have the lead after 8 innings and you have a guy like that coming in, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to end up winning most of those games.
International amateur signing period too. Yeah, the Phillies are always silent as a mouse during that, so I'm not really worried about that. The Dodgers aren't, and Dodgers always have guys to bring up when they lose a Trey Turner or a Kershaw gets hurt or something.
Yeah, the international signings have always been one thing that's something the Yankees seem to always do. We're still waiting to see the Martian play, Jason Dominguez. And he's 20 years old. I think he's in Double-A now. And after having a terrible start, I think he's got his average up to 185 because he started off 2 for 38. So now he's starting to hit home runs and get a lot of RBIs. So he's starting to turn things around. But you're probably not going to see him till September at the earliest, I would think.
Ted, thank you for the super chat there. Can we talk about the NHL lottery and how it's a joke? The NHL bails out Chicago yet again. I'm done with the NHL. What do you guys think?
How did the NHL bail out Chicago? Ted, and listen, you're not going to get away with that because I know damn well what the deal is. Okay, they didn't bail out Chicago. Chicago was horrible this year. Did you actually watch them play? Because that team was a joke.
All the guys from their Stanley Cup years. They got old and they're not good anymore.
They weren't willing to move on from the guys that won the Stanley Cup and bring in young guys. And they insisted when they weren't making the playoffs to continue to make now moves like Seth Jones and some of these other guys that they brought in. And it didn't work. And they're a horrible organization right now. They're the worst. They were the worst team in the league. Maybe not quite as bad as Anaheim, but I mean those two teams ended up where they belong. And you know what? They're both going to get great players. But Chicago was terrible. They have nothing right now. Nobody.
Yeah, he says they gave him Patrick Kane too, but if memory serves me correct, Patrick Kane was the second pick in the draft. Was he not?
You know,
didn't the Flyers take Nolan Patrick first that year?
Yeah, but I don't think Patrick Kane. Nolan Patrick was first. No. He was third that year because Nico. No. Wait, I'm thinking of a different year. Nolan Patrick. I'm trying to remember.
Was JVR? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, JV. Yeah, because I was going to say Nolan Patrick was drafted in like 2015 or something. Kane came in the early 2000s.
Okay, so Kane went first and JVR went second.
Yeah, but that was 18. That was 18 years ago, and again, Chicago was horrible back then, and they were horrible for like 10 years. So they were due to get.
Well, I'm glad this
come up big in the draft.
Well, I am happy that this so-called prodigy is going to be.
I mean, I'm glad he's in Chicago. You know, I mean, Chicago is a great hockey town, and I'm glad.
There's no doubt about it. Like Bedard's the pick, right? Like no one's going to get cute and pick one of these other guys that's supposed to be real good.
But I can't remember the guy's name. Starts with it, Fangello or something like that. He's almost as good as Bedard. Almost. It's real close. It's kind of like when you had Crosby. Was it Crosby and no, not Crosby and Eichel. Who was it with that was drafted with Eichel? Now I can't remember. Who was drafted with Jack Eichel? Who was the first pick that year? Now I can't remember. But it's kind of like that. It's he is that Malkin is Malkin and Crosby. That was different because Bettman fixed that because the Penguins fell apart and they got Crosby and then the season got canceled the next year from the lockout, and then Bettman went and let them have the first round pick again, which was ridiculous because it should have been reversed or it should have been a lottery.
Ted says McDavid.
McDavid. Yes. Okay, that's correct. But you had McDavid first and Eichel second, and both of them are great players. Eichel's not as good as McDavid, but I think you're going to see the same kind of situation there with those two. I think the second guy, who again I can't remember his name, the Hockey Happy Hour guys know his name. I just can't remember it, but he's a real good player, and he's going to be definitely a big factor as the second pick. He'll help Anaheim a lot.
Jason 18 #Eagles. What do you think the Flyers are going to do? Flyers get 7th pick. I looked it up. They were slated to get 7, so no.
The Flyers are going to be fine. They're going to get a good player. There are a lot of really, really, really good players in this draft.
Now, when you say a good player, like, am I going to see the 7th pick in the draft in the NHL next season?
You might.
Because Bedard seems like everyone's talking about it.
Bedard should be a flat out star. Okay, but Bedard should have the same impact as Matthews. Okay, that's how good Bedard is. Okay, so and some people are comparing him to Solani. So that's it. if he's Solani, then that's. I mean, Solani scored over 70 goals in his rookie year. I can't imagine that. I don't think you're going to see Bedard do that, but Bedard is going to be a tremendous player. I think at 7th pick, I think the top 10 picks are all going to be in the NHL this year. That's how good the draft is. And really for the first 2 rounds, there's a lot of guys who are going to make the NHL. I don't think you can go wrong if you're in the top 10. That's for sure. But I think in the first 2 rounds, you're going to see a lot of players make the NHL.
Speaking of drafts, Brad, we did not get your thoughts last week on the NFL draft.
Okay, as far as the Eagles are concerned, I thought they made out very well. They got some top prospects for sure, and they should be able to make the team, and they should be able to improve the team, and the team should be more athletic defensively. That would be what I have to say about them. And obviously I don't follow them the same way I follow my team. I think the Giants did a pretty good job. They went out and got themselves a center in the 2nd round who was supposed to be the best center in the country last year. And thank God they got a center because they've needed one for quite a while now. So they went and got a center. Who did they get?
They got Deontay Banks in the 1st round.
Okay, they got the corner. Yeah, he's the cornerback. They got him.
Who I
in the
like
first
a lot.
round. Yeah, he's pretty good, and I think that's going to be he's going to be a really solid player. And they got a receiver. I think his name is
Jalen Hyatt, my guy from Tennessee.
Hyatt, yeah.
I think that was an excellent selection as well.
Yeah, I think that those 3 guys are going to really help this team. Hyatt's kind of small though, and he drops a lot of passes, so that's a little disconcerting. But you know what? If he catches the ball with his speed, he's gonna be a big factor for them. So hopefully he tightens things up as he becomes an NFL player and doesn't drop the ball as often. Because I heard that was his reputation was that he'd make the spectacular catch and he'd drop the easy ones. So hopefully that's not going to happen in the pros.
Schedule comes out Thursday. We'll probably have wall-to-wall coverage on A2D Radio between Birds of a Feather and a Pro Fan Talk with our buddy Marcus Thomas. They are going to have a Black Friday game this year, Brad. It looks like leader in the clubhouse, according to Adam Schefter and the reports, is that the Eagles and the Giants will be featured on Black Friday.
Oh, good. I'm hearing the Eagles and Giants might be playing on Thanksgiving. How about that?
Well, that would be the Black Friday.
Yeah, is that going to be the game?
Yeah, that's going to be an extension of the.
Good.
So, I mean, that'll be fun. Now, a couple of changes to the schedule and the rules that they do. Teams can now play multiple Thursday night games, which is stupid. Not every team is guaranteed a primetime slot, which they tried to do with the Thursday night slot. That's also a good move. I don't like that. I mean, I don't like multiple Thursday games. They shouldn't have any Thursday games except Thanksgiving and maybe the opener.
Yeah,
Thursday games are stupid.
I would agree with you. I wouldn't mind seeing a Monday night doubleheader though.
It'd be awesome. Monday night doubleheader, an East Coast game at 7 and a West Coast game at 10.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Thursday would be awesome. And you can give Amazon Prime the second half of the Monday night doubleheader. That's fine. But apparently Amazon Prime wasn't happy last year because all their games stunk on Thursday night.
Yeah, well, that's the way it goes sometimes.
So I think there's going to be some really, really, really high-profile matchups on Thursday Night Football this year.
That's bad. Thursday night, you never get the real thing on Thursday night because you got 2 teams that are banged up from Sunday, and then they got to play on Thursday. And usually their defenses are all, but especially early in the season, those Thursday night games tend to get a little ugly.
I do think that the Eagles and the Chiefs are a logical choice to open the season on the Thursday night extravaganza.
That would be a good game. That should be the first game if they're playing. They do play each other. That's right.
Yep.
So,
Right.
The Eagles get to play the Chiefs. So the Eagles get to play the Chiefs as their extra game. Because I think the AFC East plays the NFC East this year. That's
correct.
That should be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of good games then.
So yeah, Bills, Eagles, Giants, Bills. Bills, Cowboys.
Yep.
A lot of history between that little
Jets, Giants. That'll be a barn burner. It always is when they play. They don't play very often, but boy, when they play, it's lots of pushing and shoving and lots of chirping. Believe it or not.
And the NFC East also going to play the NFC West.
That could actually be a good thing for the NFC East.
I mean, I think Seattle's really good. I think the Niners are obviously the Niners, but I mean the Rams.
The Rams stink.
They could bounce back. If Stafford stays healthy, then they'll win their share of games. If it's going to be enough to make the playoffs, I don't know.
And if Cup plays, the Cardinals are awful, so they're going to be toast. Everybody's going to beat them.
They might not win a game.
They're going to be bad. They'll be a 2-win team.
So yeah, the extra game. So what? Your extra game would be against.
Well, we came in third, so it's either the Cardinals or the Rams.
No. You play both. You play the AFC West third place team.
Oh, the AFC West third place team. So
you'll play the
Oakland. Is it Oakland or the Broncos? Yeah, the Raiders.
No, the Broncos were terrible.
Yeah, they're not going to play the Broncos.
I think the Raiders were a little better than the Broncos.
Yeah. And you know what? The Giants never beat the Raiders. For whatever reason, it doesn't matter how bad Oakland is, they never beat that team. I think I can only remember them beating them once.
Last comment of the night, Rob. How about Deebo Samuel not get over losing the game and saying how they only played with 10 players? Come on, man. He's so mad. Yeah, the Eagles are living rent-free in the San Francisco 49ers' heads.
Yeah, they got to move on. They got to move past it. It's over. It's over.
That's a lock. Whenever the Eagles play the Niners, I believe that game's at Lincoln Financial Field. I would have to double-check that, but that's a lock for the Eagles. I always fade revenge games because the Niners are going to be so dead set on making the Eagles pay for that beatdown that they might make mistakes and press, and not to mention the Niners.
You sure the game's going to be in Philly?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. No, I mean, I don't know. I'm just asking.
Well, the opponents are out and the home away is out. Just order and the TV channels and the primetime games and whatnot are going to be determined on Thursday. But like, it's really colored by number. I mean, you play a division from the AFC, you play a division from the NFC, you have your division games, and then you have your 17th extra game.
I'll tell you what, Rob, there are no easy teams in either the AFC East or the NFC East.
I mean, I think the Patriots stink, but I guess they
but they got a good defense. They got a good defense, though.
They're allergic to offense and playmakers.
Well, yeah,
they just don't care about it. I mean,
that's been their issue the last.
There's no one on that offense that you have to game plan for.
Jacoby Myers, maybe.
Well, he's on the Raiders. So.
Oh, he's on the Raiders now.
Never mind. They have Juju now. He's their top dog.
He's playing with them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's not good enough.
All right. That will do it for this edition of the Sports Hounds. Thank you to our great sponsors, Philly Sports Trips, Baguio's Breads, the Alan Foyd eXp Realty, Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, all our great commenters. We had a super chatter tonight, some great sports talk, and go Sixers tomorrow. Until then, peace out, everybody.